This is Star Ocean Sessions, where I'll be playing through and creating content for all of the games in the series. I've just released my review for Star Ocean First Departure R, so naturally, it is now time for Star Ocean Know the Facts. This video is going to look into all of the things you probably didn't know about the game. If you learned something new, hit that like button and let me know which fact you found the most interesting in the comments below. Also, we have loads more Star Ocean content coming your way soon, so feel free to sub if you're a fan of the series or RPGs in general. Alright, let's get into it. Let's start by looking into the colourful cast of Star Ocean characters. Some of the character names were changed between the Japanese Super NES version and the English version of First Departure. Some of the notable changes include Radix to Rodic, Joshua to Yoshua, Iria to Ilia, Ronixus to Ronix, Fia to Fia, and Perisi to Perishi. Speaking of Perishi, Miracle from Star Ocean The Last Hope is based on her, even having the Ocarina skill as a reference. Now, let's talk about Welch. Her ultimate skill is Nibble Ungeling, and I probably just butchered that name big time. Anyway, this skill is a reference to the reoccurring Nibelung Valesti attack belonging to Lenneth and other Valkyries in the Valkyrie Profile series, which is another game developed by Tri-Ace. In both of these moves, the character jumps up in the air, spreads their wings, and throws down a spear, or a stick with a hand on it. Something else very interesting is her name, Welch Vineyard. There is a US company called Welch, which is known for their grape juices, and where do grapes come from? Vineyards. And what's Welch's last name? Vineyard. Absolutely mind-blowing, right? Either that or you don't really care. The development of the original Star Ocean has an interesting story behind it. It all started with Tales of Fantasia, which was developed by Wolf Team a year prior. Its development was met with many creative disputes between the Wolf Team staff and the publisher Namco, and even led to Namco cutting half of the staff and making massive changes to the game. Wolf Team were not happy, and many of them left to form a new company, Tri-Ace, with their first project being Star Ocean. The staff felt that the core skill and item systems of Fantasia were too generic, so they worked to deepen this gameplay experience. They also wanted a deeper, bigger story, so they set it in space and added private actions to flesh out the characters. The rest is history. Tri-Ace went on to create loads of great and highly successful RPGs, including Valkyrie Profile, Radiata Stories, and sometime later this year, their latest Star Ocean title, The Divine Force. Unfortunately, it took over 12 years for Star Ocean to finally leave Japan, with First Departure on the PSP releasing in the West in 2008. The funny thing is that there was actually an advertisement for Star Ocean in a North American Nintendo Power magazine, where fresh ideas and new technology take Star Ocean where no RPG has ever gone before. I'm positive that's how it was meant to be read. Anyway, the game wasn't released because Enix simply stopped publishing games in North America due to poor sales. While on the topic of advertising, here's the original Japanese commercial for Star Ocean.
Super Famicom 最後のオリジナル RPG Star Ocean 好評発売中 Enix.
I always like watching these, especially when they blend live action with gameplay. So, Star Ocean First Departure is a complete remake of the original, with producer Yoshinori Yamagishi stating that he wanted the remake to feel like a completely new game. Quite a few new things were added to First Departure, including new voice actors. Yeah, that's right, new voice actors. Star Ocean on the Super Nintendo was actually partially voice acted. Let's take a look at the original intro sequence.
Stardate 346. Now, through an unknown force, a totally new age is about to begin. Is it God's will or the irony of fate? And still, mankind makes its way where no one has gone before.
Now, this isn't the only game on the system with voiced lines, but it's gotta be up there in terms of quantity. This really brings me back to my days of playing Aussie Rules football on the Nintendo.
Out of bounds, on the full.
Out of Bounds on the Full has been burnt in my mind for decades. So, being a complete remake, there was obviously quite a lot changed from the original Super Nintendo version, but here's a couple of interesting ones. Originally, Ashley's left arm is crippled and in a sling. In the PSP version, his left arm has been completely sliced off. I'm not sure what sparked this change, but in both cases, this results in him not being able to equip shields. In the Super NES version, Yoshua was the only character who could use both healing and damage spells. In First Departure, his abilities were completely changed up due to the inclusion of Ares. Also worth mentioning is that there is some unused content in First Departure that can be found by hacking into the game. In the Japanese version, there is a spell called Forget, and in English it's called Demonic Shock. In terms of functionality, it's essentially a weaker version of the Silent spell. Let's talk about the Celestial Beings. Gabriel Celesta and the Ethereal Queen are reoccurring optional super bosses throughout the Star Ocean series. But did you know that this also extends to other Tri-Ace games? They also appear in the Valkyrie Profile series and in Radiata Stories and Infinite Undiscovery. Another bit of optional content is the Oracle Room. This secret area in Star Ocean can be accessed late in the game and connects to the Cave of the Seven Stars, which throws some really challenging enemies at you. Anyway, within this Oracle Room, you'll find the Tria Gods of Creation, which are actually representations of the developers of the game. So where does the word Tria come from? Tria is a play on words of the company name Tri-Ace. The amount of forced backtracking that you have to do in Star Ocean can be very tedious, particularly when you factor in the high encounter rate. Don't worry guys, I'm here to help. There is a way to turn off random encounters completely. When traveling through a dungeon or cave, simply pop open the UMD slot and remove the disc from the PSP. Random encounters will be no more. When you're ready to take on a boss fight, simply pop it back in and you're good to go. This can be a bit fiddly because you do have to put the UMD back in every time you change dungeon screens, but it is worth it. For those not playing on PSP, sorry, you're gonna have to deal with all of the fighting. And that's all we have for today. I hope you learnt something new. Let me know in the comments which fact you found the most interesting, or if I missed anything good. If you liked this video, it would help me out a lot if you hit like. Also, stay tuned for more Star Ocean videos, including more facts coming soon. See you next time.